But first, an early and unexpected vote on right-to-work legislation in a state Senate committee, sparking outrage tonight. Republican senators saying a quick vote was necessary for safety.
News 3 has team coverage tonight from inside the state capitol. Jessica Arp with what happened when a vote was unexpectedly called tonight. Matthew Simon with reaction, and Leah Linscheid with the early closure of the Capitol and the removal of protesters. But we start tonight with Jessica.
Well, the Capitol at this hour is pretty quiet this evening. All the protesters are gone. The building as it stands is closed to the public. But the vote on this right-to-work bill was what caused the ruckus earlier this evening. Came about a half hour before it was originally planned, with the committee chair saying he was concerned that a planned protest would become unsafe. The Senate Labor Committee took testimony from 10 a.m. until earlier this evening, when Committee Chair Steve Nass cited an article from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel saying union groups plan to peacefully protest the end of testimony at 7 p.m., calling that a credible threat to the safety of the people at the hearing. Nass quickly called an end to testimony and ultimately called for a vote over the objections of union members in the crowd and Democrats on the committee. Republicans then left the room with a police presence.
I think it started to rise to a level where I got concerned. I did get concerned, especially when people were out of their chairs and started to move forward.
What do you say to the protesters, though, who say that they were just exercising a peaceful right to protest, and that there was no threat, as you say, to anyone's safety, that the hearing could have continued and they could have protested peacefully?
We don't know that that people wouldn't have been hurt. We don't know.
They short-circuited a public hearing over a rumor that something might happen. That's outrageous. People that drove 4 or 5 hours to get here, and they just ended the meeting. They didn't listen to them, and they ran for the doors.
Now, this sets things up for an interesting day tomorrow. Now, the vote on that committee ultimately was 3-1. Senator Chris Larson did not record a vote in the committee. This will then send this bill, though, to the floor of the state Senate. The session now scheduled to start at 1:30 p.m. tomorrow. Nass said he does not believe that it's likely that there is a limit on debate. But, of course, the union groups who organized this protest are saying that the meeting was called short for no reason. Matthew Simon has more from them tonight.
We witnessed this meeting. To the folks watching from the inside, this was shocking. To many of them, that shock turning to anger in some cases over what they were hearing, over what they were not understanding, and then it turned to yelling. We cannot repeat much of what was said, but what we can tell you is we heard the word shame repeated over and over again, and then those doors were locked. Folks already angry over this bill, yelling outside, trying to get inside, downright confusion in that room, as moments later the Democratic committee members who had stayed confirmed to a dismayed audience during all that yelling the vote had taken place and the bill was headed to the Senate. Those who did not get a chance to speak say they were disgusted by what they saw.
I would like to have had a chance to look them in the eye and say, I know what Diane Hendricks gets out of this. I know what the Alex cartel gets out of this. But what do the Wisconsin voters that put you in office get out of this? Look me in the eye and tell me this is what's best for the people of Wisconsin.
I thought it was really disgraceful how the chairman made the decision to close this session and close the debate. People had been waiting here for hours on end, had traveled great distances, and there was absolutely no interruption. There was no basis for closing the debate. They don't want to hear people. That's the bottom line. Why are we having this fast-track session? Because they don't want to listen to people.
And that is one of the union leaders you heard from there, adamant, all of them, that nothing violent was planned. And in the midst of all of this, the protesters simply do not believe there was ever any credible threat.
All right, nonetheless, a very tense night there. All right, thank you, Matthew. Our team coverage now continues with Leah Linscheid. And Leah, did police need to get involved at all?
Michelle, for the most part, it was a pretty orderly exit for protesters out of the Capitol tonight. But yes, at one point, police did need to get involved when one protester refused to leave. Now, throughout tonight, he was one of the more vocal protesters, speaking loudly and chanting as well. But police arrested him shortly after 8:30 after he refused to leave. The Department of Administration tells us it was the only arrest of the night. Now, most of the protesters left the building at 8, and that is when the Capitol was scheduled to close. They left in an orderly procession style, singing the whole way. But on the whole, Eric and Michelle, a very orderly out for protesters. And as you can see, silence tonight, at least until tomorrow.
All right, Leah Lynchad reporting from the Capitol. Leah, thank you very much.